Hey guys, this is Turek, and in today's video, I will be reviewing One Piece chapter 1142. Quickly want to say, yeah, if you're watching when this is uploaded, I'm like about 4 weeks behind. I got sick in February. My voice was off, so I couldn't get this out. And it went right up to around that point. Right when this chapter came out, my voice was getting better, and then stuff has been happening. It's been really busy, so I just getting to this now. Had people coming over. There's too much noise earlier this week. I would have got this done on like Monday, which was like the 30th, I think, or no, that would have been the 31st. Either way, whatever date that was. So we're here now, and the last chapter was Loki. Loki was finally freed. The heck? The heck is that saying? Some weird error. Okay. Luffy and Zoro made down to the underworld, and they ended up freeing Loki. The others found out because Roto was forced to spill the beans by Gerd, and we were having some other stuff going on. But we were seeing a little bit of stuff too. It was funny because it was showing Yoral talk about how his favorite. The chapter was focused around how Yoral, the oldest giant there, and one of the tallest, is and only interested in older women, and he's the oldest giant now, so there's no one older than him. Unless he meant like an older. Actually, I was thinking like that. Like, does he? It doesn't have to be an older giant woman, does it? Dr. Kareha is an oldest human we know of who's alive in the One Piece world. So there's that. I mean, she's not a giant. Pinky, relax. Oh, my cats are. You'll probably see my cats jumping around a lot, maybe because there's other cats outside messing around, fornicating, basically wild cats, and I'm trying to keep my cats out of that, but then I'm letting them look out the window. Come on, Pinky. So the my tissues here. The so that at the end there, the Luffy and the others got to uh they didn't quite free Loki either. So he's gonna show up again in this chapter. But Zoro was wise enough to say, don't um don't let's not free him completely because he could be dangerous. Zoro is being cautious as you should. Luffy wasn't gonna listen, but Zoro luckily put his foot down. They also thought Loki was injured beyond repair, like severely injured, because he was all bloodied up still, and he clearly was because of Gunko's torture to him. That when they tried to coerce him to join the God's Knights, and at the end though, we had Zoro, Luffy, and Sanji. Sanji showed up with the new giant pirates because he was falling. He was just there because Gerd. He was looking for Gerd earlier and stuff like that. And anyways, so we start the chapter though. First, I'll go with the cover story briefly. The last one was showing where we saw that Who's Who was there at the oh wait, what's her name? One sec. That other member of the Toby Ropo, her name is Ultai. We saw in the last cover page that she had been captured by Who's Who, and they were playing games like throwing knives and swords at her. She was pinned to a giant dartboard, and they were throwing swords and knives at her. This cover story shows that Yamato, she snuck in here, cause who was it? Was it Otama, right? Was it Otama? Hey, kitty. One of them got it was shoot. Which one is it again? Give me a sec. I always do this. I get those two's name mixed up. I think it's Otama. Yeah, Tama. She's the little one who can do the. And I think she got kidnapped, right? And by was it Hold'em again? Uh, had kidnapped her, and there were other people getting kidnapped. I have to go back and visit it. But anyways, in this cover story, Yamato takes out Who's Who. We don't know if they squared off like in like a duel fashion, or like a or she snuck up on him, but she uses her version of a Thunder Bagura, which is her father's attack, to take out Who's Who here. And so that's the end of that. So there was just it's too bad we didn't see more of a fight out of it. Maybe the anime will have this thing show up someday. Wait, who am I kidding? They don't do the cover stories. Come on. We had this whole break. One Piece is about to come back and continue. What chapter would that be? 1090 roughly in the manga. We should have been doing cover story art animes. That's what I wish they would have been doing. We have Anaru, we have Ace, Jinbei had one. There was other stuff that cover stories that the One Piece anime has not done. I think the only one they did off the top of my head is Kobe and Hameppo's training that was shown in the cover story. I think they turned that was in an episode of One Piece, and they did that back shortly after, right around the time where it fitted in the story. And I think that was the last time we saw the two though, but in the manga obviously, and then in the anime too until they came up back in Eddie's lobby. But anyways, let's bring this a little closer. I can just go like this and that. So it's just been I know they're doing this Fishman Island redo thing. I wish I watched the first episode and I wasn't impressed because it's nice that they're trying to do to touch it up, I suppose, but like they're cutting it down for length. But I didn't like what they cut out myself, so I only watched one episode, which I think covered the 2 episodes of the original version of the original anime release. So I wish they would be doing cover stories instead, especially for Ace. Ace has his own cover story where he's looking for Blackbeard. When did they show it? What part of the anime would that have been? Manga was that shown during? I forget where, but that would have been obviously before we see him fight Blackbeard in chapter. Is that 334? Maybe. So we could have been doing stuff like that. So, anyways, that's over with. So now, what's going on here? So now let's get this going. So now we switch back to. Hold on here. Let me read. So yeah, we go back to the Walrus school, and the last time we saw them was in 1040, and they saw some of the kids saw Gunko's bird thing she created that ended up getting them over there. They saw them laying on a tree, and now we switched to just back to seeing the kids in the Walrus school out in this outside area, and they're being attacked by this giant snake thing. Now. The size of this is hard to tell. Oh no, actually, I was gonna compare it to the snake that Roto kept as a pet. That he had the citizens in his Lego set think were a god, but it's much bigger than that actually, because this thing looks like it's big enough to swallow a giant child easily. And this thing is not a snake. This looks more like a dragon actually. What Roto had looked more like an actual snake, like a viper type of thing. Was it supposed to be like a viper? It had a look of a viper or a cobra-esque design that Oda used to design it. And so these kids are screaming for the teachers, and they say there's a giant snake. One of them even claims, "Oh, it looks like Jormungandr, the snake that brings the end to the weak." Oh wait, there's a pun there. There's someone saying "end to the weak," meaning like the weak versus strong, and someone makes a joke, says, "You mean Saturday?" Meaning the end of the days of the week. And so these kids, this thing is like destroying some of the wood and knocking things over. And we see these 4 kids run back inside. So like mainly some of the teachers are nearby and hear this. And we go to the faculty room of the teachers. And one of these other teachers runs in where where Angie is. This is a new character, and there's another one here too. Which I'll introduce in a second. And then, so this one teacher runs in. We got trouble. There's some kind of snake in the outside. Angie replies, "What? Is it one of the creatures from the underworld? How would it get up here?" And we get introductions to the others. So we get the one who ran in is the math teacher, and his name is Mr. Blade. Then we see the other guy who's actually he's the principal of the school, and his name is Tusk, and he actually looks like a walrus. So the school's called Walrus School, and he is a giant, and he's got this great big hair and beard. Kind of looks like Oda was trying to go for a little bit of Dumbledore, as far as because Dumbledore's the um, headmaster of Hogwarts, but and he's got long flowing hair going down, but he's also bald on top. He's got walrus tusks in that those big upper lips that a walrus has with the whiskers. Um, so the Blade's like saying, "Oh, we gotta evacuate everyone out now," and uh, and then Tusk, the principal, goes, "Should we call the war chiefs or the chiefs?" And say, "Well, in the meantime, let's hurry up and get the children out of danger." Angie says that. Excuse me. So we go back outside, and some of the kids that got cornered by the snake, and out of nowhere we see who is that? We see this guy comes in though, and we don't see who it is at first, but they show, but oh no, they show it's Tusk. So Tusk out of nowhere comes outside, faces off against this snake, and he's holding a giant hammer with two like fang things on the back, and he just whacks the shit out of this thing, and it reels back. Oh, this is awesome. He whacks it easily, and then we switch to Saul, and he's coming from above. He runs across a this tree branch, and he gets ready to do the finishing move, and he yells to the principal, "Watch out! Sorry, I'm late." And he gets his arm all ready. I guess he powers up a big pocky punch, and so when Tusk hit it, it went upwards, and it actually and finishes it, and then he whacked his head upwards and put it in a better range for Saul, and he comes and knocks it back down and slams it into the ground. Actually, I forgot to mention too, Blade, this teacher named Blade. I forgot to mention. They show his face, and he looks like he's got the Oni horns as well. So there's many people here that giants that must be here and there that have the Oni horns. I wanted to bring up because we got Loki that has them. Well, I don't know if they say that here or the next chapter, but they're gonna say that if you've seen Loki's designs for this Loki, he has the big horns coming out, and they are actually his. And this guy named Blade has them as well. So yeah, they knock this thing out, and so the two of them, we see Tusk and Saul come together, and the other kids just gather around like, "Oh my God, yay!" No, they're kind of in shock too because they thought they were about to be eaten. And we get a different title card here from Tusk this time, and it shows that he was part of the giant pirates before. And he walks over to Saul like, "Oh, thanks for that, Saul. I could appreciate the help." And he's like, "Oh, my back. I haven't done that in a while." And so yeah, he's probably quite a bit older. I'm guessing based on his appearance, he might be a bit older than Dorian Broggy. So him running around and fighting like this is probably a little difficult for him, as it shows. And then Saul's like, "Yeah, no problem. Do you have any idea where the snake came from?" Uh, so now the kids are like, "Wow, those two are both so amazing." And one's like, "Wow, you used to be a Warriors principal." And then someone else is like, "Wow, Saul, the rumors were true. He's also strong. I heard he was in the Marines of the world government." They actually don't say it that way. I'm kind of emphasizing it because they say the Navy, but obviously we know that they have their own kind of Navy in a way. But then we're talking about the world government's Navy. Uh, we see now that Robin and Chopper are with Saul. They're hiding in his beard, and they come out. And Robin asks us, Saul, "Oh, are you two playing?" I think my kitties are playing. They're kind of bored. Are there monsters like this in the Sun World? Um, and Saul like, "No, this is not normal. Usually the things we have around here are like normal wild animals." And Chopper notes how enormous it looks. Uh, but and then Saul just turns to the kids and goes like, "Oh, I'm sorry about the scare, kids." And the other kids are like, "Oh, that's okay, Mr. Saul, thank you." And you even got some little hearts from little girls like, "Oh, he's so courageous. He's such a great teacher. We're so lucky to have him," and all that stuff. Kind of emphasis, energies there. But then we hear some other people screaming. It's like someone's going, "Mr. Wolf!" So another teacher, and like, "Oh, what is it now?" And we go inside the school, and we get another new teacher, the gym teacher named Mr. Wolf, and he's all beat up, and they find him out sitting there injured. Uh, and oh, I see what's happening, right? So and they're like, um, he's like, "Oh, don't worry about me. What about the children?" And he says, "There are some," they're like, "Well," I think Saul's kind of like thinking, "Well, I have the children here are safe," but he's like, "No, some of the others wandered off with Yila, Yilva, something like that. They wandered off somewhere." Uh, so now, one of them goes. One of them's talking to Robin here, and like, "Oh, are you Luffy's friend? Did Lu?" And she's like, "Yeah. What's wrong? Did Luffy do something to you?" Why would they ask that right now? That was kind of weird. But Saul, so Wolf, the teacher named Wolf, or the gym teacher, yeah, he points like the kids went that way towards and I think he pointed where they went. No, he didn't. But Saul figured out which direction. He starts running toward the beach, right? Because one of the other kids in the next panel was like, "Wait, they went toward the beach." Um, so some of the other kids that were there are like, we see them going toward the beach. They fell asleep and then they wouldn't talk to us. Oh, I missed a spot here too. Blade yells to no, Mr. Wolf. This guy is Blade's the math teacher. This guy too, by the way, see his face. He's got a we can't see his face that well, but he looks like he's got a big jaw. He's got dark hair and he's dressed. He looks like he might be a warrior. Um, but what we find out here is he probably wasn't attacked. It looked like initially he was attacked by something, but he yells to Saul, "Don't touch the children, the ones that are wandering around." And we'll get into that in a minute. He says, and then Robin's hearing what these kids say to Saul, and she's like, "But you said they're walking, but they're also asleep? What are you talking about?" So we get the panel showing that, and we see about six kids all in a line. It looks like there's some more actually. They're walking in a line, following along straight toward the away from the Walrus school. And yes, you can see that they're clearly asleep. And what we can tell here, for one thing, is that this is part of the God's Knight's doing, because there's an arrow along their left side, kind of leading them along as they walk. Right away, I wanted to stop because this reminded me of the Pied Piper, which is some fairy tale type story from the Middle Ages. It had to do. It's a story from that's set during the Black Plague, and these people pay this guy to get rid of the rats. Well, they don't pay him; they hire him to get rid of these rats out of their village, their town. And the rats were part of the problem with the Black Plague. I think that had something to do with the Mongols, right? They were using rats to raid cities, and the Black Plague just spread across all of Europe. The Mongols never made it all the way all across. Anyways, the piper agreed to get rid of the rats, and he had some flute, and he was able to do some kind of magic with it to lead the rats out. Maybe he sent them off to drown, or I don't know. He got rid of them somehow. But then the villagers reneged their agreement and don't pay him. And the story had it go where he stole their children as like revenge and kind of like payment. And that's the part I remember of it. I don't know if that was like a morality tale supposed to be there, other than the fact that you shouldn't like renege your deals. But anyway, that's what this looks like here. Um, So the kids keep yelling. There's someone, Tusk or Saul, are like yelling to the kids, like, "Hey, what are you doing? Come back!" And Tusk then says, the principal, "Blow the horn. We have to warn the whole country." And but Tusk is looking at something when we don't see it first, and Saul goes up to him like, "Wait, that's a little overboard, don't you think?" It's like, "No, look over there. This is a normal state of affairs. Look at that stuff." and we don't see it yet right away. But Saul goes, we just get this shocked look. Then we switch back to Mr. Blade, that math teacher, and he has this big horn out, and he starts blowing it, and so we switch back to Saul, and then Robin and Chopper, and they're all like, "What the heck is going on? There are monsters everywhere." And like, where did they come from? So we switch around and we see that there's monsters. There's a giant bird and something that's like Oda drew it weird. It looks like a gator with horns coming off his head. They're both in silhouettes though, so it's hard to tell. And then suddenly these other kids around Miss Angie start passing out. So I think these are the other kids. These are the other kids that Tusk and Saul just saved, not the ones already walking away. And then Angie's like, "Wait a minute, what's going on here? They're just passing out. Get up, kids, what's going on?" And we go to Robin and Chopper briefly, and they're like, "What the heck's going on?" And then Chopper's like, "Saul, please put me down. I'm a doctor. I can take a look at them." And the other's like, "Yes, please help us. We don't know what's going on. They don't look like, because they're clearly like just being passed out and sleeping. I don't think and we figure out what's happening, but I think it's in the next chapter. Um, the first thing we should do is stop the children and get them to safety," someone else yells. And then that's where we're gonna end right here, huh? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me check something. We stop from all that happening now, and then we cut back to Loki and the others. So here we see Loki. Oh my God, is that really how tall Loki is? Holy shit, Loki's actually, I wasn't even looking at this frame closely, but Loki's actually twice as, even like another like 30-50% taller than I thought he was. Because we see Haruden here. That can't be right. That scale is a little off. This scaling's a little off. But if the Haruden's scale is accurate, Loki is like twice as tall as him. But I'm a little hesitant on this because I see they show Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji next to him, and they look taller comparatively to Haruden. So there's something scaling here. Oda drew looks a little weird. Because Luffy shouldn't even be like maybe only as tall as like Haruden's up to like his ankle, above his foot, kind of like that, like a tenth of his height. So there's something wrong there. But clearly though, Loki is quite a bit taller. So we're getting an idea that how Loki was so tough to stop, as I kind of mentioned too in the last chapter. He's much bigger than most giants. Only Jarl so far have we seen is like close to that height as far as the giants go. Actually, the way Zoro brought up, this guy's probably as tall as Oars. So hold on a sec. So actually, that made me think for a minute. I can see that if Loki hadn't been committed this crime against of killing patricide, I bet the Giants would have been really happy to have him as their leader, because this guy's clearly like probably the biggest giant they've had lead them in a long time. Although we don't know how tall Harold was, the dad. Um, so Loki is now going off and like, "Yeah, you thought leaving that sea prism cuff on me would stop me? You're foolish." And then he says, "If you want to save Elbath, undo the final cuff now." When he says that, though, I'm wondering if he just means save them from the God's Knights. He probably wants to go. The first thing he probably wants to do right now is go and kick their ass for what they did to him. He said, "Do it now, or I'll." He says, "Soon you'll see if I'm really, helpless or not with this on." Wait, now, did he use that already? Wait a minute. He said something that wasn't. It's kind of confusing. No, because he says, "If you don't do it now, I'll keep sending blasts, and eventually I'll hit something." Um, wait a minute. Is that the right? Am I reading this right order? Hold on. Wait a minute. Is that the right order? Hold on. No, go back. This sometimes feels like it's wrong the way it's going so fast. Hold on. So There. Yeah, I'm reading right. Okay. So he must have used the hammer already. We didn't see it. But he says the next panel he goes, I can bring it all to ruin, and he brings up what was it called, Ragnar, I think, and he points it out. He points it like upward or something. How does it do it? Because it shows a panel. And so this hammer, I think I brought up in this chat. This thing is basically Mjolnir. He has a giant Mjolnir here, and the cool thing too, who actually I want to point out is this actually is the way Mjolnir was supposed to be designed. Not like someone changed it in modern interpretations or anything. If you read the mythology, uh, the craftsman who made Mjolnir was going to make it with a dual hammer weapon, and you can see that Loki's here in the One Piece version is a dual handle, but in that story, in the original, Loki transforms into a fly and keeps messing around the face of the blacksmith who made Mjolnir, and it ends up not having the full handle. That's the short version I can remember of it. But this is clearly like the true version. I think the would have been intended, so to speak. So Loki swings up the hammer to show off again. He must, in the way he said it before, it sounds like he might have done this already. So he's getting into a frenzy here. He's getting like, oh, I'm nearly free, and because again, that like he's showing too that the sea prism stone clearly was not enough to weaken him. The one he has, like it maybe is stopping him from using his devil fruit that he has, the one he took from his dad, but it's not weakening him enough that he can't wield his weapon. So he brings it up, and Harudin's like, "No, Loki, what are you doing?" And he swings it around, and then suddenly is shooting off lightning, and it looks like it goes all upward from the at an angle from the part of the underworld they're in. And it's like this is gonna be done really impressive in the manga. I'm giving not giving enough credit. And you get all this bright light, and you see like Zoro and the others all like covering their eye, and I just can imagine like one of those the final flash from that Vegeta did in one Dragon Ball Z, and so we switch back to the village where where Luffy's crew is, where the other crew members are, and well, first we see that fire. This time he hit something up in the sun world, and now there's fire starting. And now the people partying take notice, and they're like, "Wait, what's that? Thunder?" And then some people start making reports, like there's fire on the south side. Chief Jarl. Oh, that's right. He's one of the chiefs. So that's right, because Tusk said this call on the chiefs. And then some other people said, "I think I heard a horn as well." And then some people saying, just get anything but fire. We must we must put it out now. So they're gonna probably assemble I think they do. They assemble a fire department, probably make like a volunteer type thing. So we go back. This is I think the final part of the chapter. We're near the end. We go back to the Walrus school, and the others are like trying to figure out what's going on here. And Angie's like, Saul, principal, I figured out something. This is like I recognize what these monsters we're seeing. And she goes, earlier today, and then we go to a flashback. We have a point where the kids are doing activities with Angie, and they're drawing thing. They're doing a little drawing thing. Actually, it's cute. I just stopped to notice one of the little girls they show here. It looks basically like Bonnie, but with Oni horns. So look, even the next generation, there's more giants coming around with the Aura's Oni horns. Uh, uh, So one person saying, "Do you hear about Loki? He has a huge hammer and he can destroy the world." Another kid's like, "Oh no, it's not Loki who'll destroy the world. It's Nika that will." And then other kids are all showing off their different drawings to each other, and then they're squabbling a bit. And one kid's like, "Oh, look what I drew." And the Bonnie giant goes like, "Oh, he's scary." So he's showing the Nika one, and then someone else, "No, Loki's even scarier." And then another one's like, no, both wrong. Obviously, Fenrir, the giant wolf, is the scariest thing. And that in the mythology is supposed to be Loki's child. And they're all running around. Some of them, getting up on desks. Hey. and the girl, Angie's trying to calm down, like kids, calm down, and you two get off the desks. Um, uh, and they're still going on squabbling here. So we see some of them sitting down again, and some of the ghosts. Those are the scary things. No, the undead drugger. Uh, what's that? Nidgor, the lightning dragon. He's this Nidgor. Oh, is that the dragon? Oh, right. I didn't know they really had dragons in Scandinavian mythology. I was watching God of War, a God of War streamer the other day, streaming God of War, and you fight that this big dragon in the. I don't think you fight any dragons in the second one, but in the first one there was a dragon boss. That must have been that one. Uh, let's see. So yeah, they're all just screaming about what they think is the scariest thing here. And then there's this one timid girl that comes out. Oh, this is Yelva. They mentioned that name earlier. I thought maybe that was one of the other teachers. Oh no, she's the one who was being the beginning of the group earlier. Okay. Um, so this little girl sounds like she's the timid one, and she goes, Miss Angie, if I have to think of all these different scary things, I'm gonna have a nightmare tonight. So all the kids, these other kids are just are fooling around and stuff, obviously. But then talking about Jormungandr and Fenrir and their versions of Loki and Nika and all that, it's making her scared. And the teacher's like, "It's okay, Yelva. I'm sorry about that. We'll try to keep this so you don't have any nightmares." Uh, then she starts looking at some of the pictures, and she's like, "I'm glad you kids have so much creativity and personality in these drawings, though. You have so much imagination." So we see here too that Miss Angie is a very nice teacher who's trying helping to cultivate these kids as far as like helping them with their drawings and stuff. Um, so now that's the end of the flashback. Right, we're in a flashback from this morning. So now we go back and Angie says these creatures I see are exactly like the things things that the children had drawn this morning and they're afraid of. Because that's right. Because one of them mentioned Jormungandr, and that's what the thing that attacked them a moment ago at part of one side of the school. And Saul and Principal Tusk. Saul looks like doubtful too, and then Principal Tusk like that doesn't make any sense. That can't be. And so we get this big double panel now. Now we actually see them all. Oh, look at that one! I didn't even catch that one. Oh, hello, kitty. I got a kitty. Oh wow, look at that one. I didn't even catch that one. That's supposed to be Nika. She says, then we get a great drawing. These are the visions of the world that terrifies children the most. And you can actually see a demonic version of Nika. And you have all the other things. There's Fenrir. That's what that was. That wasn't a crocodile. That's a demonic version of a wolf. There's a storm cloud with a face on it. Someone was saying something about that. There's the bird. Someone mentioned a bird. There's ghosts. That thing over there actually looks like the way he scribbled something that looks akin to Big Mom. But there's all kinds of everything. They're looking across a vast forest, by the way, and these things all look enormous. Especially the dragon. That's not Jormungandr now. Now we see the dragon that one mentioned. No, 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 no. Hey, come on. Careful. Uh, so we switch to the God's Knights, and we see that this is Killingham's doing. He has a power here, and they'll explain it better in the next one. I'm gonna leave it here in this one. Okay. He says, okay, we're all ready to and then he starts falling asleep himself. So something's going on when he sleeps, and then we see what's the other one's name? Shoot, not Shepherd. What was his name? Oh crap, I forgot his name now. 1 second. There's Gunko. Oh, Summers. Summers and Gunko are overseeing this, so they're where is this? Right here. They're overseeing this from up top of tree branch, looking over high up. So they must be higher up. We don't see. Yeah. Okay. So, anyways, yeah. Summer says one of them says, "Yeah, good job killing him." So I think they're still doing like a game here because one of them says the time limit is until the kids reach the ship. Do you think you can get them back? Uh, So is it like a game to see who can herd them into a place where they can get off the island? And then Summers just starts laughing, and he says, "To know love is to wound one another." So he's this poetic guy. We'll get more in this next chapter. And then he looks at Gunko and says, "Hey Gunko, are you afraid of anything?" And we end the chapter with her saying, "Nika," and that's it. The end of the chapter. Okay, I know I went by that one fast. I usually do this in like a little longer, but this was something. So Loki here is trying to convince the others to threaten the others with force, but with damage to get rid of this, to get stop the to let him go. Yeah, and we see that the others. So what happened here, obviously, too. I didn't go over this, but Mr. Wolf, the gym teacher, he was all beat up because he tried to free the children, and we're gonna go over this in a second. I'll probably just continue the next chapter. He tried to free the children, and we're gonna see that what happened here is that Summers' power, Saint Summers has a power that stopped him from being able to do that, from like picking up the kids and restraining them. That's so Gunko. It's like they're all three of them are using their powers. Huh? I'll just emphasize the Gunko. So Killingham is the one who's put them to sleep. Gunko's using her power to lead, and he's sending them making them sleepwalk, and Gunko's trailing them leading them where they want, and Killingham is keeping them from being restrained by the teachers, and that's what happened. Mr. Blade found that at great peril. And so yeah, there's not much else here we see with the Straw Hats. We only really saw we saw Zoro, Luffy, and Sanji there. Actually, we did see them. I didn't emphasize this, but they shows Luffy and Sanji like, "You bastard." They both have those looks like, "What are you doing? Why are you trying to destroy stuff?" Uh, and the other guys are. We don't really see the others. I think we only really see Haruden here. No, we see the others right there, silhouette when they were all blocking our eyes. They're just like I think, like I said earlier, they're kind of afraid to go at him even all at once because he's so intimidating. Come on. What are you little cripper? Come here. Relax. Here, go up here. There you go. That's Victoria. She wants to go outside, but again, there's some other cats out there causing trouble. Come on. Smile for the camera. There you go. Yeah. There you go. Oh. So, that was a good chapter. That was a fast chapter. I would have put a lot of detail into this, though. Man, I hope he's getting his rest. But so we met some new characters. So this was yeah, something. So we see that Nika. So something here too. I'm hoping we go over later. I don't that Nika is so Gunko must be afraid that Nika will come someday and maybe cause problems to the world government. Maybe she must know the others. I'm assuming the other um knights know about what is going on here? Okay, just get a notification. That means the other gods knights and the other um, celestial dragons know about the story of Nika, and it looks like Gunko is one that takes it seriously. The way that Killingham, I mean that Summers response suggests that he probably would not take it seriously. They probably just doesn't. Maybe they don't know about that how much about the fruit because that seems like something only the Goros say would uh, keep to themselves and would keep under wraps on a need to know basis to the other. I'm trying to look at there's a cover story in the next chapter for the from the other celestial dragons. But anyways, yeah, that's about it. I love these drawings Oda did for the cover story for the creatures he made. I'm gonna have to maybe use one of those for my pick one to like draw something like that of Oh, by the way, too, when it shows this picture, I forgot to mention too, when this Nika picture is shown by illustration, Oda did a good job of showing it drawn as what a children would do. This one child, we see this one with the goggles. I don't know if Colin's among these kids, but this kid here draws Nika, and he's gone with the sword and the shield like we saw earlier, and it's relatively accurate otherwise too. He's not wearing any clothes except a thing around his midriff, his waist area, and he's got the white hair. So there's definitely something here too. I was thinking about this because we saw Ripley talk about that motif that not motif the mosaic. I'm looking for the word, that thing that she showed Frankie, and they were talking about, everyone knows Nika, and they talk about how he's gonna destroy the world. So there's definitely a lot of stuff here to consider with what these giants think about with that stuff. Uh, that I hope we go over more later. Wait a minute, too. Is that? And one last thing too. Why did the Giants leave again? Why did they leave that weapon next to Loki? He wouldn't be so dangerous right now if they had done that. He can now start a fire. Now I'm worried. Like, okay, is Oda gonna make the fire thing a big problem like he did with Onigashima? I don't think he's going to. He did that with Onigashima, where friggin' Orochi set the fire, and then it became a big problem because it was killing some. I'm sure some of the samurai, the allies as well as the enemies of the rank and file, died just from smoke inhalation and being burned to death because of that shit. Because Orochi's such a petty bastard. You know, as much as Kaido was the main character in that arc, Orochi was the most annoying one. I could not, even him just having that swift kill like that almost wasn't satisfying enough. Not that I wanted him to get hurt. I just wanted him to know his doom was coming, kind of thing. Like, your end is nigh. I just was so annoyed with him. Um, anyways, I'm just gonna leave that and continue the next chapter here. Thanks for watching.